You thought I was feeling you? That nigga a munch. Nigga either he ate it for lunch. Bitch on my body, I get what I want. Like, you thought I was feeling you? That nigga a munch. Nigga either he ate it for lunch. Bitch on my body, I get what I want. Like, bitch stay mad, let's keep it a beam. Don't it be mad, I be on a scene. Ass too fat, can't fit in a jean. Use my stitch, but it's not what.
Hi everyone, welcome back to the Someone Had to Say It podcast. My name is Bekezelaring Dingake.
And I am Refile Dingake, and we are your hosts. If you're new here, go ahead and hit that subscribe or follow button because we guarantee you'll love what you hear.
And if you've been around before, we're happy that you're back for more. How you doing, Fifi? Hi guys, it's been a minute. It's
really been a long time.
Yeah, we're not neglecting you guys. We're just trying to deliver quality instead of quantity.
Yeah. We do want to make sure that we record not under pressure, but like when we are ready and prepared to record. We don't want to give you guys half-assed
And I think
content.
life has also just been a bit unpredictable because there have been a few changes, so we don't have as much time as we anticipated to have when we started everything.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Like Fifi's an employed girl.
And it's really hectic this side, eh? This side by
There's
being
no
a
sleep.
junior attorney, like, it's a lot of work, guys. So, you asked how I am. I am exhausted. That's how I am. How are you?
You look exhausted.
Why would you even say that? Why would
I
you
hate it when
even
people say that.
Like, that is actually so rude. I
I wanted to see your reaction because I never get it when you're like, oh, I'm tired, and then someone's like, you look tired.
Like, why would they
What do
say
you mean
that
I look
to me?
tired, bro?
Yeah, and people really do be saying that, and they say it like in a way that it's almost like they're sympathetic. They're like, oh, you look so tired.
So tired.
Girl, don't tell me that.
Like, are you saying I don't look good?
Yeah.
When I'm trying to look good?
Like,
But yeah, I've been good as well. A bit of a free bird at the moment, which I'll get into more, maybe much later in time, not in this episode. But yeah, life has been good. I'll say that overall.
that's great. The year is fully nearly coming to a close.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
Yeah.
This is actually Katie's birthday is on Monday.
Yeah, I was about to say that we're officially in the best season ever, Libra season.
Okay.
All my
Relax.
Libra peoples, the best in the world.
The best, are you sure?
Yeah, we are the best.
That's like the one thing you can decide on.
Yeah,
Who the best. Oh,
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Sure. Anyway, well, after Libra season's done, then we go into the best season, Scorpio season, OVO.
Excuse me?
One.
Who are you
Who
to
am
say
I?
that Scorpio season is the best?
I am a Scorpio.
No,
Who
sorry.
knows that Scorpio season is the best? But anyway, let's not do that. What are we talking about today, sister?
Today, so we put up a poll. So we've decided moving forward, we'd really like to interact with you guys a bit more. Get your feedback on like what you'd like to hear about. Get you guys interacting with us. We'd love to hear more from you. If you have any questions, if you'd like to share any stories, that we can share on the podcast, you can pop us a DM or you can send us an email at You can send us an email at shtsipod@gmail.com. So shtsipod@gmail.com. And that'll be something that we have a moment for in the episode or towards the end of the episode. And it'll all be anonymous, so we will not be sharing anyone's identity. But yeah, in saying that, we put up a poll and a lot of you wanted to hear about Bekezelaring versus being patient or understanding.
Yeah, which is very interesting. It's an interesting topic, and there's a very fine line between those things.
Yeah.
I think. So you can easily go from being a very patient and understanding person to literally fully just be Bekezelaring at your own cost,
Yeah.
So yeah. that's gonna be an interesting conversation.
Yeah, so when I was reflecting on the topic, one of the things that I had said that like would be a note to myself regarding the topic, and obviously having been through similar situations, was just like note to self, know when to leave because you're being taken for a ride, versus when to see it through because conflict and tension is a natural part of any healthy relationship. So I think discernment is a big thing when it comes to either you're being taken for a ride and you're handling things that you shouldn't have to handle, or you're just being patient and understanding. Have you ever been in a situation where you felt like you're being taken for a ride, where you bekezelared? What's that thing? What's that TikTok? Do they say don't tata show, bekezel, or something? Don't bekezel.
I know what you're talking about. I just don't know.
But yeah, have you ever bekezelared? Would you say?
It's hard to say. It's hard to say because I, for one, obviously this can also apply to more than just romantic relationships or someone that you're seeing romantically, just by the way. So I'm trying to think. There's definitely been times where maybe I put up with, even like in friendships that maybe I'm no longer in, that I put up with things that I wouldn't normally put up with, or I sacrifice my own peace or things that I know that are what I want for myself just to accommodate someone else, you know what I mean, or keep that friendship. So I would say definitely in a friendship sense, I think I can identify 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 situations. Yeah, but also the thing about me, which is something I want to knock on wood because, I know people don't end up in these situations on purpose. But one thing I've kind of prided myself on is, I think because I just practice awareness in my day-to-day, I easily catch on to things that are off. You know what I mean? So if, like, it's easy for me to notice that maybe I'm self-sacrificing too much in this situation, or why do they think that they can say that or do that to me without me like reacting, or clearly they have this thought that, I'm just gonna stay even if they're acting a certain way. So far in my life, I've ended up in those situations, but I quickly identify what things really are and see them for what they are, and I'm able to get out before I'm in too deep. You know what I mean? Yeah, but knock on wood, I don't want that to ever go away. Yeah.
Okay, well, I will straight up tell you I have definitely bekezelled. Man, I'm not proud of it, and I think it happens where I give people too much grace. Like, it's okay to give people grace and to be patient, like we're saying, but there's certain times where I've been very aware that certain boundaries that I've put into place are being disrespected, and I'll still choose to give the person the benefit of the doubt in that situation and kind of turn a blind eye to it. Or if I address it, I'll address it. But like, typically speaking, I wouldn't even want it to be a conversation because it's like a clear sign of either disrespect or like just there's a level of respect that you don't have for me for you to be aware of my boundaries and still choose to disrespect those boundaries, or for you to be aware of things that may not have me feeling great and to still choose to do that. You know what I mean? To not afford me the grace that I'm affording you. And I think that has, so I have been in a situation or 2 or 3 or 4, I'm joking. Only like 2 situations that I can think of right now where I had been shown very blatantly in certain instances that, okay, this is probably a good time to leave. Like, you don't have to put up with that kind of thing. But because of the rose-colored glasses, I tend to kind of ignore it and feel like, okay, at least if we address it in a way where you can acknowledge it and apologize and whatever, that's fine. But the issue with not enforcing your boundaries is that people will do it again because you're showing them what you'll take. Like, actions speak louder than words, right? So you're telling them in theory that I don't like this, but when they do it, you're still there.
Yeah.
So obviously this person is gonna like kind of become accustomed to feeling like they can get away with certain things.
Yeah.
So yeah, it also had me reflecting on the fact that I needed to self-introspect and ask myself why I'd rather allow my boundaries to be disrespected or disregarded for the sake of making the other person comfortable. Like, why am I not putting myself first in that instance? So that was something that came out of those situations where I had to reflect on that and kind of work on it. And I think it's always easier said than done. Like, for example, say that you're single and you're in a space where you're all about yourself, you're learning more about yourself, self-love, everything. It's very easy to, in theory, have these very firm boundaries and stuff. But the minute you're in a situation, those things can be compromised. And I think in those instances, it's definitely the universe testing you to be like, okay, you've had these conversations with yourself, you've set these boundaries with yourself for yourself, but now let's put you in the ring. Yeah, let's put you in the ring and let's see if you'll still stand firm in that. So yeah, I think after the second time it happened, that's what had me realizing that in terms of me being the common denominator in a similar instance, I had to be like, what is the issue here?
Yeah.
And that's when I realized that I think I need to be more serious about
enforcing
my boundaries, not just having them in theory.
And that's important. Like, obviously it's not to say everything that happens to you is like your fault or whatever, because there's genuinely people who are out there who take advantage of people who maybe aren't so hectic about their boundaries and stuff. But I think in situations like this, like you're saying, at some point you need to step back and be like, okay, how am I playing a role in this person thinking that they can disrespect me? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And not necessarily that you're the only reason why, because, you know, also on the other end, that person should be decent enough to know not to do certain things or not to put you through certain things. But also you also have to look at yourself and be like, what message am I sending out that they think I'll put up with these things? Yeah. But also, like you were saying, so you've been in situations like that and you got out of those situations. I think
thank God
we need to talk about how hard it is to get out of those kind of situations. Especially, it's one thing to know something intellectually, like when you know like, this person is taking me
for a ride.
This person clearly
like
thinks I'm stupid.
I swear, I think that's the worst part, is when you're aware of it and you're still there.
Yeah, because it's hard. It's hard to like you can literally be in this situation and you're like, whoa, like this person really doesn't, you know what I mean?
And the people around you will tell you, well, your loved ones. So specifically
like
speaking to my situation, everyone is screaming at you, being like, dude, it's very clear what you need to do here.
Clarity is clear to see.
And I'm there like, listen, don't worry.
I'm dead because I'm literally thinking of you in that situation.
Yes.
Wide eyes. You against the world. You against the world. It's like, guys,
and they're like, don't worry, guys. I see it exactly how you're seeing it. And I'm not lying. When I say that to you guys, I'm not lying. I'm like, I see what you're seeing. But also just understand that I'm pushing right now because I have another level of investment in this. Emotional investment. that makes it hard for me to walk away the way I would as an objective party, observing the situation. It would be clear. The decision, what needs to be done is clear from an objective point of view. And I always acknowledge that. But I think I also allow the part of me that's emotionally invested to take its time. Like, to just take its time and allow it, like, I give them the benefit of the doubt. But I think, yeah, like I said, there has to be a point where I also just, which it always comes, it always happens. There's that thing that people say of, if you have to go back 10 times to learn your lesson, do what you gotta do. Some people just needed to mess up, some people need the situation to go bad once for them to walk away for good and be done. Some people need to go back a few times before they actually, until you're fed up with your own bullshit and your situation, no one can tell you anything else. Nobody.
And also, I'm not gonna put anyone on blast here, but I know the person that listens to our podcast, and I'm gonna say, I'm definitely no one will know I'm talking. They won't know what I'm talking about unless it's the person. You know what I'm saying? They should know this is for them. Yeah. But there's a time we'd be like, you'd look at other people and you'd be like, how is this person finding themselves in this situation? It could never be me. It could never be me. And then you get into a situation and it's you. And then everyone... And then everyone is telling you, dude, this person thinks you're a clown. This is how they're treating you. And you're still there wait, guys, wait. I know, but I'm, still Bekezelaring at the same time when you said you would never Bekezela. But anyway.
Yeah, not you calling somebody out like that.
Yeah.
Damn. But
and maybe that's for more than one person. I have one
for
person
sure,
in mind, but that's not a unique situation. I think a lot of us, even me, honestly, maybe I'm calling myself out because there's been many times where I'm like, yo, guys, I have too much pride. I have too much pride to ever find myself in those situations. And then you're there and you're like, okay, damn, it was me.
I was
being the fool. That's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think what's important is definitely just be self-aware enough to not be so jaded by the rose-colored glasses, guys. Like I said, it's not a nice feeling to be in the situation where you're being taken for a ride and you're aware of it, but it's better than being taken for a ride and completely being oblivious to it when the world is literally screaming at you to be like, dude, how can you not see this?
Yeah.
I'm thinking of a particular celebrity right now who just had a baby. I don't want to name drop. But for example, that situation where you're very much being made a clown by your man.
You don't want to name drop?
I don't know. I don't think I want to name drop. I know, but I just feel bad. I don't want beef.
You have a lawsuit.
Yeah, nope. No defamation for me. Allegedly, it's very clear. It's not allegedly. Y'all know who I'm talking about. Just had a baby with a horrible guy.
South African?
No, American. Just had a baby. Sorry about that. Yeah, so that's a situation, for those who know which celebrity I'm talking about, where you're clearly being made boo-boo the fool, and you're choosing to just play dumb about it. You're choosing to play dumb about it. Rather be self-aware, because when you're aware that, okay, this situation isn't really serving me, or this person isn't the ideal person for me because clearly they don't respect me and they're taking me for a ride. When you're aware of that, you will get to a point where you get fed up enough to leave. If you're being taken for a ride, at least be aware of it, dude, so that when you're tired, you know you're leaving, instead of selling yourself dreams and painting a situation out to be what it's not. Making it seem
Yeah. But then before we get too carried away, let's talk about the other side of the coin. Patience and understanding with people and giving people grace. Let's talk about the importance of that and the fine line with that, because I think up until now we've purely been talking about, okay, when you're when you're being taken for a ride and you still decide to stay and things are clear, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But let's talk about the importance of being patient with people and understanding and giving people grace, you know?
Mm-hmm.
That's also something we need to talk about because that's important. At the end of the day, I think sometimes, as much as I agree with a lot that we were saying up until now, it lacks complexity.
Mm-hmm.
It lacks understanding that each circumstance and each set of facts is unique.
Yeah.
You know, not everything, it can't be black and white where you're like, if this person did this, you know,
Yeah,
they
no.
clearly this type of person, you
Yeah.
know. So I think the other side of that is knowing when to afford someone grace.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I'm like, also being aware of the situation is important, because I think it's very clear, as much as it presents differently to different people in different situations. I think it's very clear when you are being taken for a ride, right? Versus situations that require patience. Because like I
Is
said
it
in the
clear, though?
beginning, hey, how is it not clear when someone's taking you for a ride?
No, that's what I'm saying. You can't say things like clear. Clear to who?
To you.
No, because Katie, you can even say, like, when you're in those situations, right?
Yeah.
Maybe people outside of that situation and outside of that relationship are like, clarity is clear to see. What are you not getting? You know what I mean? But even you would be like, okay, but I know certain things that maybe you guys don't know. There's certain elements and facts and circumstances that are a bit more complex and you don't know the true extent of it. You know what I mean? So that's why I'm still in this situation because I maybe know more that makes it a bit more complicated.
But
that's why I'm like still here. So it's not clear. It's still a bit murky.
But that's exactly the point I was making, ya gore, even when you're in a situation that you can see a lot of this person's actions towards you have affected you in a negative way, there's always that, not just emotional investment, but I did mention that there's that emotional investment that keeps you there a little longer. But that's just one of the things, like you're talking about. There's layers to it. There may be information that, you know, that people on the outside are not aware of, you know. So for sure it's complex, but I think in analyzing all that, you know, as the person in the situation, you can still tell when it's like, okay, I'm doing too much by sticking around here, because as much as I'm trying to be patient and understanding, it's clearly not being received in the manner that I intend to like be delivering it, and it's not helping to better the situation. You know what I mean? And I think in that situation, it's kind of like a dark hole that you're trying to pour into and nothing's happening. You know, when you're giving, or you're in giving. When I say giving, I mean you're being patient, you're being understanding, you're being present, you're trying to consider the different circumstances that exist in that situation. But if it's not serving you or serving the relationship, you and this person as a together or whatever, then I think that's when you can tell that, okay, it's crossed that fine line of being patient or understanding, and it's now a situation where you're fighting an uphill battle that doesn't seem to, like, you're fighting against the tide. You're pushing against the tide.
Yeah, exactly. And sometimes, because also the thing about leaving, there's sometimes situations where leaving is purely like for you. You need to do it for your own sanity, you know. Sometimes leaving is also for them, so that they can reflect on themselves and their actions. And then, because if you're in a situation where this person, like you're saying, what is it? Like you've hit like a wall kind of thing. Sometimes you need to leave, even though it may hurt you too, but just to make, like, so that that person can see the consequences of their actions.
Yeah. like sometimes you staying is enabling them
Yeah.
to not do the self introspection or to reflect the way that they need to, because it enables them to perpetuate whatever it is that's causing that negative, or I don't want to say toxic, but that energy that's not conducive for the growth of your relationship. You know what I mean? So, yeah, for sure. I think that's why I'm like, it's important to know that any relationship, platonic, romantic, will have its ups and downs. It's natural, it's normal, it's healthy. You're not always going to agree with someone. There will be conflict. But knowing the difference between just the natural conflict that comes with a relationship or connection versus a situation where it's clearly just not meant to be working right now, and you're just really trying to fight against the tide. It's very important to have that discernment to be able to tell which is which.
And also another thing, I think what keeps people in relationships that aren't, like I said, both romantic or platonic, what keeps people in relationships that maybe someone is clearly disrespecting them is they kind of think, like a lot of people feel like, okay, if to leave, it needs to be intentional, right? So this person intentionally is always hurting them, is always, disrespecting their boundaries and stuff. But intention, I don't think it's necessary for the intention to be there as long as the effect is there. Because that's what keeps people in a situation where it's like, no, I never meant for that to, I never meant to hurt you by doing this. That was never my intention, that kind of thing. And that's why people are like, oh no, there's no ill will. So they find it hard to, I don't know. Do you get what I'm saying? Where it's like, because the person never intended to hurt you, now you don't feel like you have the legs to stand
on and walk away
when you're walking away.
Yeah.
But if it has the effect of hurting you and the effect of disrespecting you,
Like,
even if it wasn't on purpose,
even if it wasn't intentional, yeah,
that
makes it harder for sure, because you keep giving this person the benefit of the doubt, but now with reason, because you're like, that this person doesn't mean to be, maybe they're going through their own things, or when you know the nature of a person and you're like, okay, you can see that they'd like to do better and be better, but deal with the reality, which is another thing I was going to say is I think one of the things that perpetuate us staying in situations that no longer serve us is holding on to potential instead of taking the situation for what it is at face value. I think so, in light of what you mentioned, where it's like you feel like you have no legs to stand on because this person may not be acting the way that they're acting towards you deliberately. It may be certain circumstances that have put them in a space where maybe they can't show up as their best selves, right? So I feel like in those situations it's very easy to like justify it, where you're trying to like, you think that you should probably leave, but you try to justify it to be like, it won't always be like this isn't the kind of person they are. You hold on to that potential of maybe once they cross this part of their life or this bridge or deal with whatever it is that's putting them in a space where they're not the best versions of themselves, then it'll be fine. And that's why you end up like holding on to something way longer, because you're like,
but
maybe,
then is that necessarily
hopefully
a bad thing? Just to add, I'm not even gonna say it. I don't want to say to play devil's advocate. That's not what I want to say. But what I'm saying is, I'm thinking of like long-term relationships, right? Marriages, all that kind of thing. People go through different phases of their life, right? So let's say you met someone and, it was a time of their life where they could give everything to you. And then they go through a busy spell, I don't know, something where they're not able to give as much. Do you now leave them? But even though like, that's part of what being human is, especially when you're young, when, like, it's going to be ebbs and flows. There's going to be times where someone's able to give so much, and then there'll be times where maybe they're not able to give as much, but it doesn't mean that they don't want to. You know what I mean?
No, I totally
like,
get
how
what
are
you're
you
saying.
supposed to have a long-term relationship if you're going to leave when things change?
That leads me to then believe that, like, yes, I feel like in that case, it is being patient and being understanding, because you're going through the motions with someone who's growing and changing over time and going through different things, different seasons, and you're there for it. That's different. I think Bekezelaring is also, you're more prone to it when you're just getting to know someone, like when it's new. And if it's a situation that already the way it's starting off doesn't look promising and you're still holding on to, maybe it'll get better, I would say that's more Bekezelaring, because you don't have anything of substance to hold on to and say no, but I know it's just a bad time for this person right now and we'll get through this, you know. So I think when you don't have that history or that background with that person to be like, no, I know it's just a bad season right now and they'll be okay and I'm going to pick up the weight and be patient and understanding for them, that's different. So I think when it comes to long-term relationships, you're not Bekezelaring if you're just being supportive of your person in their low seasons.
But also, at the same time, to combat what I just said, how long is the season gonna be? Will the season end? Like, how do you know?
Girl, we don't know.
You
We don't know.
So when you end up staying in a relationship where you're like, no, it's just right now, I'm gonna support them, I'm gonna be patient with them, just like for now, you know, things will get better. How do you know that?
But that's why relationships that are years long end. That's why people divorce. It can get to a point where it's very clear that, okay, maybe it's not just the season.
Like, now you've changed.
It's just time. It's we're not working anymore. Yeah. So it's not too big as a lie. It's just it's like a moment where you're like, okay, I guess that's the end of this book or this chapter.
Yeah.
And that's okay. So yeah, that's why I'm like,
Which
think
is crazy, bro.
It's very crazy that it can happen like that.
Imagine thinking like, oh, things are gonna change soon.
Yeah.
You
but you don't want to jump the gun.
5 years
either.
of your life.
Yeah.
You guys, this is
life.
Really crazy.
This life, they no balance.
You never know. Like, you literally only know after. Like, that's the thing
when
about
you know.
hindsight. I wish someone told me.
In hindsight.
Yeah. I hate that you only realize things in hindsight. Why can't I have hindsight right now?
Why can't you have foresight?
Why can't I have foresight, bro?
And that's so Raven moments see into the future and be like, okay, I guess these are the signs of what's to come. And I know that the outcome is that it's going to end, so let me just cut the ride now.
Please have foresight. And we don't ever get it. Like, no matter in what situation.
Yeah.
You only know things in hindsight.
Yeah.
And it's like, what can I do with hindsight, guys? Because if you're being honest, the only thing hindsight gives you is like looking back at that specific situation and be like, oh, yeah, damn. You know, if only I had done this. But
it's
you
the
can't.
Lesson learned.
It's like, if only. But then the thing about hindsight is you could end up in a very similar situation and still make the same mistakes because it's
you can't
unique.
Apply it. Yes, you can't apply it to every situation.
Single relationship is unique. Even if certain characteristics might be the same, there'll still be.
You can't predict that it's going to happen exactly as
it will
did
never
the last
happen
time.
exactly the same. So how am I going to apply my hindsight to a situation that will never be the same? Like, I'll never be in two of the exact same circumstances.
Yeah. Hindsight is not applicable in relationship contexts, I don't think.
Hindsight is just torturous, honestly.
So,
it's torturous.
Basically, in summary, being patient and understanding and staying in a situation that no longer serves you, there's a very fine line between the two. And I think it's easy to be susceptible to staying in a situation that doesn't serve you if from the get-go there are numerous signs and instances of there not being great potential, but you choose to still hold on to what could be. There's a difference when you know what is, what was, and therefore, because of this bad moment, I think we can get through it because of what we've had and what we have. But when you don't have a past, when they show you once, dude, just run.
But you can see that with hindsight.
Yeah, that's right.
Sorry, I have beef with hindsight. I have beef with hindsight.
Leave that girl alone.
Because even when you're saying, like, okay, when there's signs from Jump that this is not going to be good, you only see that there were signs in hindsight.
That's not true.
No, that's a fact.
In a new situation,
no,
you
like,
can see the
thing
moment.
Is, you may
red flags.
know.
That's why red flags are a
the
thing.
red flags are there, but they don't have the same, like,
punch.
Yeah, because you can see.
No, they exist, but because you're holding on to potential, you're like, what could be of this? What could become of this? You allow yourself to go through it, and then if it crashes and burns, then you're suddenly like, but I did. There was that red flag. There was this red flag. The only reason you continue when you've seen red flags is because you're hoping there's better and that it'll be better, and that's on you. If you just met this person and you're choosing to ignore the red flag because you want to see it become better, that's on you.
Yeah, hey, I don't know.
Yeah.
Hey, what a name.
So yeah, that's just that, guys. Please don't Bekezell. But if you have to Bekezell, be aware that you're Bekezelaring and
self-awareness. That's all that matters.
Self-awareness. Just know yourself. Know the situation that you are putting yourself in.
There, babe.
And listen, if you have to go back 10 times before you're really fed up and you're like, I'm out, that's okay. If you're someone who sees it from the get-go and you run, that's okay too. Just know what you're doing.
That is some solid advice if I've ever heard some, bro.
Know what you're putting yourself through and act accordingly, my guys.
Just know.
And give yourself grace. Give your partner grace should it be a situation where you've gone through the motions with this person in different seasons and stuff. That is being patient. That is being understanding. But you know, I know, we know that we know when we know. You get me? We know when we know. Gut instincts, it's a thing. These feelings, it's a thing. And then we blame hindsight as if we didn't feel the pit in our stomach at some point that we decided to overlook. Like, we know.
Without dragging this episode on for too long, there's more conversations that could be had on this topic. We could have gone the route of women and how women in society are kind of almost expected to put up with things. We could have gone that route to talk about the societal aspect of that and roles or expectations because of gender, things like that.
Yeah.
And then we also could have gone the route of, even if you're the type of person who identifies a situation, sees red flag, I'm out, that brewing of what if, could have, should, that will
it can
also
haunt you as
kill
well.
you.
Yeah.
It's just suffering either way, bro.
That's why I keep saying, just know yourself, dude. Some people won't be bothered by what could have been. If you're someone who really wants to see what could be,
I don't think no one
that's
can
on
be
you.
bothered.
Some people can really move on from situations better than others. Just know yourself.
Know yourself. Know your worth, nigga.
Dude. Know yourself. Joe, know yourself. And act accordingly.
Wow. That was profound, honestly. Right.
But yeah, I like this topic. Like you said, I feel like we could definitely expand on it. Which maybe we'll do in future.
Maybe.
Speak to the societal dimensions that you mentioned. But yeah, we really enjoyed recording this episode, right?
Yeah, we did.
And yeah, the conversation doesn't have to end here though. We'd love to hear If you guys have any stories regarding Bekezelaring, guys, have you ever been in a situation where you stuck around a little longer than you should have? Your moments of hindsight, did you have any instances where you were like, where you were mad at hindsight, the way Fifi gets frustrated by hindsight? Do you have any questions regarding how you might be able to identify a situation? Like, if you guys want to talk to us, please
do
drop us a DM, drop us an email at shtsipod@gmail.com, shtsipod@gmail.com, and we'll be happy to address those questions or to share your stories if you're permitting us to do so in the next episode.
We love you for listening.
We love you guys for listening, and we'll see you next Sunday in the next episode.
All right, bye.
Okay, bye. I'm going to go drink and get drunk now because your girl is turning 25 on the 25th.
Fully.
Silver Jubilee.
Slay. Hey?
Silver Jubilee.
What the hell's that?
It's when you're turning the age of, like, the day. Like, so my birthday's on the 25th, and I'm turning 25. So for you, it'll be 31 on the 31st of
Pizzo
October.
got that when he was
His
4.
has happened, yeah. Those of you born on the 1st.
On the 1st, guys. You'll never
You'll
get
have
that.
your silver jubilees when you didn't even know that you had it. But yeah. We'll chat to y'all next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Keeping it clean, fucking with niggas that's toting up beans. Saying you love me, but what do you mean? Pretty ass fucking you like that I mean. Got a bitch out, you shitting me? If you ain't a baddie, can't sue me. I swear that these bitches my mini-me's. He wanna sex, niggas be dreaming. I'm from the X, niggas be scheming. I'm on their necks, they's not breathing. I'm in a check, bloated and anemic. You thought I was feeling you?